And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth segment, we are going to be talking about Mikal Bridges and the Brooklyn Nets. As you guys know, this is one of the teams that I am forced into watching because I am a fan of this team. They're Brooklyn, they used to be New Jersey, and it just, it sounds right for me to be a Nets fan because, just completely, just nothing but sadness goes around in all of my sports teams. It fits because, with football, I'm a Giants fan, and it's like there's nothing but sadness there too. And in hockey, I'm the Devils fan, and there's also nothing but sadness in that sport. And it's just like, in baseball now there's actually a lot of happiness because let's go Yankees. But most of the time there's just, sadness in every single sport with New York, and this is no different. So here we have an article that is about Mikal Bridges and the possibilities of him getting traded for the Nets. Now, it seems like, at least according to this article, that the Nets have zero interest in trading Mikal Bridges. There's one issue. The Nets have zero interest in trading Mikal Bridges, at least according to this report. According to league sources who have been in contact with them, and it's not like they haven't had opportunities. Other teams have offered hordes of first rounders. Brooklyn hasn't engaged. According to league sources, Brooklyn's front office has told teams it views Bridges as a co-star to whichever big name it can trade for down the line. That's the organization's long-term plan, though all it takes for the blueprint to change is one hint from Bridges that he wouldn't resign in a couple of seasons. So, this is this is a really bad way to go about this situation in my opinion, because it's like you're sort of just forcing this player to wait until your team gets good, and you can't really do that for a player. You have to make the team good, and you have to make him good now while he's still there and while he's still happy, because the longer you wait, then the more likely the chances of him wanting to leave the team, they just increase. And you don't want that from an organization. Obviously, if you're the Cavs organization, then you have a lot of history in not keeping your stars happy with LeBron. And this is sort of, it's not the same situation, but it's sort of like the same way that the Nets are going about it. And I also don't really agree with this at all. Like, I think he should be traded. Like, if we're getting if the Nets are getting hordes and hordes of draft picks, and they're getting really good options for Mikal Bridges, then I would totally take them up. I would totally start looking at offers, because he hasn't been the number one option that we were expecting from him. And I also don't really expect him to be a second option on this team after, his performance and his really bad play. I don't think I think his time as a Brooklyn Net is over. Now, he averaged 19 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 4 blocks while shooting 43% from the field, 37 from 3, and 81 from the free throw line, while making 23.3 million next season. And he is one of the top two-way players in the NBA, like, with all due respect. And throughout his career, he's averaged pretty considerable numbers, 14 points. He is also pretty reliable. He's played in almost every single game in since he was drafted. He's considered an Iron Man with how many games that he plays. But, again, I we with the expectation from Mikal, based off of the first impression that he gave us with Brooklyn, he needed to be that number one option. Like, he was supposed to be the number one option on not a good team, a mediocre team, and he was supposed to, be a relatively good leader, but it doesn't really seem like that's the case. And again, moving from Kevin Durant to Mikal Bridges is going to be a huge letdown no matter how you look at it. But, I mean, at least give us something to look forward to, and that's something that Mikal Bridges didn't do. And that also, like, it seems to ruin the possibility of reuniting the rest of the Villanova brothers and the rest of the Villanova squad to join the Knicks, because as Dante DiVincenzo, Jalen Brunson, and Josh Hart, they all played on Villanova, and they all played on that championship roster recently. And they're all on the same team now with the Nets. The only person from that Villanova squad that's missing, that's also in the league, is Mikal Bridges. And I've said this before, how Mikal Bridges, and if he were to join the Knicks, if the Nets were to trade him, I wouldn't be upset at that at all. And I also would love to see, like, the picks that we'd get out of it in return and in exchange for Mikal Bridges, because he's a very, very good, he would be a very good piece for the Knicks. And like the chemistry that he already has with the rest of the players, it would be jarring. Like everybody would immediately know like what everyone is supposed to be doing, and it'll be just like playing back in college, which will ultimately ease up a lot of pressure from all of these players. It's like, and on top of that, it's not like Mikal Bridges doesn't have some really good defense to go with, being an offensive minded player. And it's like he's a really good option to have if you're the Knicks. Again, if you're the Knicks, because you have Jalen Brunson as your number one option, and then you also have DiVincenzo there, as well as, if you were to have Mikal, you have a whole repertoire of little scoring options, I guess you could say. So Houston, they also want to acquire Bridges as well, at least, according to this report. However, Brooklyn has told Houston that other teams that Brooklyn has told Houston and other teams that Bridges is not available, so it doesn't really seem like he's going to be on the trade block. League sources say the Rockets have had conversation with the Grizzlies about trading down from this pick, and that the Rockets hold out hope that the Nets would be willing to move Mikal Bridges for it, at least according to NBA insiders. So that's basically all that I have for you guys on this segment. Again, it's a little bit of a shorter segment than usual, but why would the Nets not want to trade Mikal? I don't understand why not. It's, if you're getting a lot of picks in return, he's not going to be the number one option for the team. Like, that ship has sailed. So just cut the wire with him while we can and get the picks. It's like, I would rather have all of those picks and the possibilities of building a good team more than I would the players. And it's like the players that we have right now. And honestly, a lot of the picks that we would have had and we could have made them into stars. And it's like, it's really just, it's not it. I just don't think that's it. Nets are trying to build around a 27-year-old option, TJ said in the chat. Yeah, exactly. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm just like, why would we want to build around something so meaningless when we could build for the future and do literally what the Boston Celtics did when they had our picks? They built for the future, and here they are winning a championship with those same picks that the Nets would have had. But I digress. So with that, we are going to go ahead and go into the final segment, which is going to be about Doc Rivers and and Damian Lillard. I don't know what that word was that I almost invented. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about what Doc had to say about Damian Lillard on a podcast called the Bill Simmons Podcast. So I will be right back after the short break. Be sure to stay tuned.